Hello everyone, in this video let us take a look at how to fetch priorities and priority schemes using ScriptRunner for Jira. Now we all know about the priorities in Jira. If you want to, let us say, add a new priority, you can always go to the Jira administration and then you can go to issues, and when you go to the issues you will then be able to take a look at this section here called priorities, and we have two options here. One option is the option to basically take a look at all the priorities and also maybe add a new one. So let us say if I want to add something like very high, so I'm just adding a new priority, very high. You can also select one icon. So let me just select maybe this one, and we now have a new priority. We can definitely move it. If you want to move it, let us say to a specific position, you can always change it. So this is all good. We can add a new priority, and at the same time, when you have to use the priority in a project, you need to use the priority scheme. So this priority scheme concept is not very old. Earlier there was nothing but, I mean, in previous version, not really just recent version, but I think it was like few years ago. Till few years ago, there was no such concept of priority scheme, which is now there, and it is a good thing to have, because with the help of priority schemes, you can now limit what priorities you want to show in a project. Now, in this video, I basically wanted to do two things. I basically wanted to write a script to fetch the list of all the schemes and the list of all the priorities. Simple thing, but I thought it can be really interesting and useful. So let us do that. And for doing this, of course, I'll be using component accessor, and my script name is get priority schemes.groovy. So we have to remember the script name, and I'll be using component accessor. And if you're using component accessor, I mean, I've been talking about it quite a lot, but it is basically one of the most important thing that can get you all the information, and this should be your starting point. If you're, let us say, if you're not sure what you're trying to fetch, how you're trying to fetch it, try with component accessor. And of course, if you're using IntelliJ, then it is much more easier, because it will give you suggestions. So what I want to do, I want to first take a look if we have something like a get priority. So there is nothing like get priority, but get priority, there is no such method. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to basically use something like get component, and then I will try to pass in my class something like priority manager or priority scheme manager. So let us start with priority scheme manager. And priority scheme manager, as the name suggests, it will help you in getting the priority schemes. Now when you have priority schemes, you know what you have to do. You have to then look for a method, maybe something like get. Do we have something like get priorities, or maybe get all priorities, or get all schemes? So we do have get all schemes, and I will then iterate over this, and this is looking good. Hopefully this will fetch us the list of all these schemes. Now of course we have to test it, so I'll go to my console, I'll go to the file tab, and I will type in my script name, which is get priority schemes, and let us run it. Hopefully it works. So we do have two schemes, which is correct. We can maybe add one more. Let us add one more. So I'll click on the add priority scheme. This is maybe for task management scheme. Whenever I work on Jira, I prefer using names that reflect the purpose of the scheme. So let me add a few priorities, and you can then add this. Let us take a look at the script now. So it is now definitely working. So this is really good because using this you can definitely now take a look at what all you can do with this. Maybe you want to, uh, I mean, when you have these schemes, you can of course iterate over it, and maybe you want to do few other things like maybe for each and every scheme you want to get the priorities. So let us also do one more thing. I'll comment it out and I will now take a look at the priorities. So I will use get component and I will use priority manager. So this is of course similar, but you need to know how to fetch all the priorities. So do we have something like get priorities or something similar? So we do have get priority, uh, get priorities. So this will return you all the priorities. So this is I think this should be it. You can definitely use it, and you can then iterate over it. Maybe you just want to get the names of all the priorities, and if you run this, hopefully it will give us all the priorities, including the very high priority that we added earlier. So this is quite useful and interesting, and the whole purpose of making this video was to show you uh, that if you're, I mean, if you're working with Jira, if you're trying to do some automation, you can do a lot of things with component accessor, because all these different components like priorities, or we have been talking about issue types, workflows, this is your starting point, and I have been sharing the scripts for doing these things using component accessor, and these simple scripts are definitely simple and they are very short, but when you know how to basically fetch one thing, you can then combine it with maybe something else, and maybe you want to build some automation. So these small aspects of component accessor and how to fetch things, how to update things, uh, once you know how to do it, you will definitely be able to use ScriptRunner along with the Jira APIs, and you should then be able to do a lot of wonderful things when it comes to customizing Jira or maybe doing some automation. So let us end this video here, and I hope you enjoyed watching today's video and you learned something new today. Thank you very much.